counties. At this time, something that we have is a very long tradition for the Oceana County Republicans. The first thing we do always is to give our all praise and glory to God. And Mr. Bill Myers, would you lead us in the invocation, please? Going back 10, 12 years now. And it's not exclusive to Oceana County, but what I've found is that everyone has that as their number one issue, but how does each level of government address it? What are their statutory responsibilities? What authority do they have? How do the taxes work? And I found when I was running for county commissioner, I was getting asked the same questions. And at the county commission level, what we can do is give a loan to a township, but that's the end of our authority. Most of the authority for road work is going to be rested to some degree at the state level, which John is going to be touching on, more of the state budget and what they handle. But most of it comes down to what's called the Oceana County Road Commission, which Mark, as the manager now for a year, I believe. For 3 years now, here in Oceana County. All year. Good, good. And we're going to be looking at what he does here at the county level and how he works with townships, what the, especially this time of year, what the county snow plowing policy is, and just a whole host of things. Now, if anyone has any questions, what I'd ask you to do, so we can keep this down closer to an hour, you see the lady standing up here by the door right now underneath the exit sign. Lori has question cards, and if you would like to ask a question, she's got a pen and index cards for you. Just feel free to write down any question that you have. And at the end of the presentation, we will ask some of those at random and get those answered for you. And maybe, if nothing else, if there's a few that go unanswered, maybe I can ask Mark to answer those. Maybe we can get those posted at a later date for people to view later. So, okay, at this point then, we'll start off with Mr. Bumstead. Oh, you want to go first? Sure. Okay, Mark.
Thanks, Sandy. Appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. So I won't go into the gas tax a whole lot because Senator Bumstead's going to break that down, but this just kind of shows you how, like in other words, if the gasoline price today was $2.47 a gallon, you'd be at about 60 cents. It shows you kind of the breakdown. Oceana County, we have in the road commission's jurisdiction 1,089 total miles of roads. There's 280 primary, 809 local. Of those roads, 552 are paved, about 537 are gravel, and we have 60 bridges that are 20 feet or longer. Oceana County Road Commission receives about $5.6 million a year in MTF, and that's called Michigan Transportation Fund, income from the state of Michigan. Muskegon County, our neighbor to the south, receives $15.1 million in MTF. So even though the two counties have roughly the same miles of roads, and the reason they get more is they have a larger population and they have a greater number of miles of primary roads compared to local roads. The Road Commission for Oakland County, they have the largest MTF in the state, and they receive $101 million. They have a county-wide population of 1.2 million people. Some of the 2019 roadwork projects that we did 2 phases of Oceana Drive, so we actually did a 19 and 20 phase in 2019. That was 2.7 miles from Lever to North Monroe, $1.2 million. We also did a half mile on Oceana Drive from M20 to Nuera. We built a new bridge on Shelby Road over Stony Creek. That was $1.4 million. We did about 20 total miles of paving, 43 miles of chip seal at a cost of about $1.4 million. Townships participated in $2.1 million of road work. That is a record. That's a lot of road work, and we couldn't do all the road work we do without the participation of the townships. and approximately 5 to 6 million total in road work was done in our county in 2019. Federal aid jobs, to show how that's broken down. So in other words, the Oceana Drive job, that's what I call a federal aid job. That's 80% funded by federal and state, and 20% local funded. So in other words, the road commission. And then the road commission also pays the engineering, which is usually about 15% of the total cost, and then in-kind work. So if I say in-kind, it means that work the road commission does, like maybe we put culverts in, or we do ditching and cut trees, that's in-kind. Also, and to break it down, if you had a $1 million road job, the road commission would pay a $200,000 match and $150,000 engineering, so that would be like $350,000 total paid by the road commission. Now, the Oceana Drive job we did last year was more like $420,000. Bridge funding, federal state funds is 95% for critical bridge, local match is 5%, and OCRC would pay the engineering, which is 15% in-kind. So that bridge there, that's the new bridge over Stoney Creek on Shelby Road. That was about a $1.4 million job. So the breakdown there, we paid a $70,000 local match and paid about $210,000 in engineering. That's what I estimate between design and construction. OCRC is also the heavy maintenance contract for MDOT. Our contract is approximately $1,350,000. We do the maintenance and snow plowing of the highway, US 31, the MRLs, M20, M120, US 31 Business Route Monroe, and Oceana Drive that's in our jurisdiction. In 2019, OCRC built a $715,000 salt shed. That shed, if you see that white fabric building, it's got like 12-foot concrete walls and then fabric over a structure. That was paid for 100% by MDOT. Senator Bunsen and his office were instrumental in helping us secure this funding. Thank you for that. Previously, that was promised to us, and it just didn't happen. And I made a call to his office, and within a week to 2 weeks, we got funding for that building. And I want you to know that Oceana County Road Commission was the only road commission in the state of Michigan to receive a new salt shed in 2019. So that's no small feat. And then here's a picture of the shed. And then to get state to pay 100% of the cost, we dedicated 100% of the chiefs to MDOT for the first 5 years. After that, we can use it for county and villages. But for the first 5 years, 100% of the use has to be for our trucks on the state routes. But we still have our large old salt shed that we can use for ourselves and cities and villages. And then just kind of a breakdown of what we did. Primary maintenance was about $1.5 million. Primary winter maintenance was $489,000. Local maintenance, $1,600,000. And local winter maintenance is about $369,000. And maintenance can include, besides snow plowing, you've got grinding, mowing, tree cutting, trimming, culvert replacements. We replaced quite a few culverts the last 3 years. We didn't charge the townships for any of those. The road commission did that. Some road commissions do a 60-40 or 50-50 split on culverts. They make the townships pay. Dirt patching, scraping, blading gravels, pothole patching, pavement markings, crack pouring, washout repair, picking up dead animals, sign repair and installation, road closures, detours, and also bridge repair. OCRC owns 24 pickup trucks, and the average age of those trucks is 10.5 years old. We also own 18 single axle dump trucks. The average age on those is 18. This truck here, I believe we got in the fall of 2016. And then OCRC owns 21 tandem axle trucks and or Sanders. The average age is 13 years. So sometimes we're creative as far as trucks. This is a new Kenworth cab and chassis. but that box is actually a used box. We've been getting stainless steel boxes for some time on our trucks, so we took an older truck and we took the box and the underbody off of it, got a new cab and chassis and side wing, and had a company put it together. So we saved about $60,000 on this new truck over if we bought everything new, but everything is really in good shape and it really functions well. So we try to purchase 1 to 2 pickups a year, 1 to 2 big trucks a year, and we need to maintain a current fleet of vehicles so that we don't have multiple breakdowns. During a big snowstorm or a windstorm with down trees, we're doing maintenance. And this isn't set up. This truck was actually in the shop today, and it's got oil pump leaks. So you see it's an older truck, and it was down. OCRC pays half the gallons of brine used in townships for up to 2 brinings, and the townships pay 5 cents per gallon application rate. We began our own brine program in 2019. Just by comparison, Ottawa County Road Commission doesn't pay anything towards brining, and their MTF is $27 million. Ours is about 5.6. Well, it will be in 2020. So I feel like we're providing a great service to our townships and citizens, and we hope they appreciate that. OCRC also began our own chip seal program in 2019, chip sealing and fog sealing 43 miles of roads. We bought all used equipment for a total of about $150,000. And similar equipment new would be over $1 million. And finally, we're committed to partnering with townships, cities, and villages, other road commissions, and MDOT to better serve the citizens of Oceana County and West Michigan. Thank you.
Came in here tonight, I had some pamphlets out there on the table, and I'm just going to go over the bullet points on how the money is collected at the state level and brought down to the township and county level. And I'm going to go through my talking points, and I think a lot of you have these in front of you. Not? Are there any more up there? No. They're all gone? Yeah. Sorry, I didn't bring up for roads. It's come from 2 sources. Excuse me, motor fuel taxes and your vehicle registration fees. Combined, these sources generated almost $2.9 billion from October 1, 2018 to September 30th, 2019. Revenue from the motor fuel tax and vehicle registration fee is constitutionally dedicated for transportation. It can't be spent anywhere else. You hear that a lot. We'll put the money to it. It has to be spent towards roads. Act 51 governs how these revenues are distributed and the purposes for which they can be spent. It also establishes jurisdictional road networks and sets priorities for the use of the transportation revenues. Act 51 distribution formula. Before the distribution to the main formula, 10% of the MTF is distributed to the Comprehensive Transportation Fund for public transportation programs, including capital and operating assistance to 81 public transit systems. That was in the original Act 51. Main formula, the remainder of the MTF is divided under 3 levels of government. 39.1% to the State Trunkline Fund for the construction and preservation of the state trunkline system and administration of the Michigan Department of Transportation, MDOT. 39.1% to 83 counties and road commissions for the preservations of the county road systems. 21.8% to 533 cities and villages for the preservation of the city and villages road systems. Now in 2015, there's a road funding package that was passed, and I'm going to kind of go through those numbers. In November of 2015, a road funding plan was signed into law to provide additional funding for roads and infrastructure through the increases in the state motor fuel tax and vehicle registration fees. Here are the few of the highlights. Increases the motor fuel tax for both gasoline and diesel fuel to 26.3 cents per gallon is effective January 1st, 2017. Prior to the change, the tax on gasoline was 19 cents per gallon, and the tax on the diesel fuel was 15 cents per gallon. The annually adjusted tax rate for motor fuel based on consumer inflation with an increase cap at 5% a year, effective January 1st of 2022. That's important to remember. There's going to be more road funding at the rate of inflation. Increases the vehicle registration tax by 20% for Michigan registered vehicles effective January 1, 2017. It phases in the state general fund revenue to the MTF for distribution to the state trunk line fund and the local road agencies. The phase-in would be as follows. $150 million for fiscal year 2018-19, which we just had. $325 million for fiscal year 2019-20, and that is the road funding that the governor vetoed. $600 million for fiscal year 2020 and 21, and future fiscal years. So it's going to ramp up quite a bit. Total estimated impact from the 2015 road plan is fully implemented in fiscal year 2020-21. The 2015 road funding package would increase MTF revenues by approximately $1.2 billion per year. $5,687,852.25. Then in 2021, that'll bump up almost another $1 million to $643,613.22. The village of Shelby is going to get an additional $44,000 over that period. Kentwater Village is $25,000 additional. Hearts another $41,000. New Era Village is another almost $14,000, and Rothbury is another $12,000. So there's going to be a lot more additional money coming in to keep these guys a lot busier, but it's going to take some time. So the future road funding in Michigan, the 2015 road plan, it won't fully be implemented until fiscal year 2020-21, this coming year. During the fiscal year 1920, Governor Whitmer vetoed the $300 million general fund revenues dedicated to the Michigan Transportation Fund via the 2015 plan. And what we did in 15, let's let that fully implement first before we start raising taxes, because it's going to make a big difference locally, and an extra $1 million to Oceana County is a lot of money to work on the roads. And the problem we've had, like this past year, is Dan and Alex here. You know, every day we have a rain day, it messes up everybody's schedule. So it's going to take us a lot of time to play catch up. And the money's going to be there. It's just a time issue, and the people that are available to do this kind of work. It's a limited number of employees. It's just not many people do road work. It's going to take us time to catch up. But that's basically how we get funded at the Oceana County, down to the township level, and city and village level, through the state taxes.
I think with remaining time, Lori, if you have the question basket. I always love how at public presentations, everyone sits in the back, and you think with politicians up here, people would want to sit in the front, so if you have to throw something, you'd hit them easier.
So if we pulverized a mile of road and repaved it, say 3 inches of asphalt, just the asphalt would be about $200,000, but the whole job would probably be about $300,000 to $400,000 per mile.
there a county-wide road plan, and do you work with neighboring counties to complement each other's plans? Are work-related and tourist traffic considered?
Okay. So the first part, yes, and we are actually working at a plan together with townships. So a lot of the road work that we do, it's funded in part or whole by townships. So we work with each township to put that plan together. And then as far as the neighboring counties, sometimes we'll assist each other in jobs, but typically know that you don't necessarily plan your road work based on what they're doing. It's kind of jurisdictional. And then tourist traffic, yes, the things that we tend to do, the jobs along the lake shore, we try to get those done before Memorial Day so that doesn't impact tourism. Oceana Drive, the 3 phases we did there, I put right in the bid documents that had to be completed and open to traffic by June 30th so that we didn't impact tourism or the farming industry too much.
And we might actually let Mark off the hook this time and do a John question. It's being reported Michigan has an excess of over 800 million left over from general fund, and where is it going?
Good question. We just got those numbers. I'm Vice Chair of Senator Probst, and we had our revenue conference meeting this past week, last Friday. And luckily, Michigan's economy is good, so there's more tax revenue coming in. So the problem you have in Michigan, you have legislators that want to spend it all on special projects. Well, I think it's time, I've always been pretty conservative, and I think we need to pick in Lansing, what's our priorities? Is it K-12 schools? I think it should be. Is it roads and infrastructure? I think it should be. Is it police and fire? I think it should be. I think those are the top 3 priorities. And legislators have a tendency to want to spend it on a special project in district. Even though it might be a good project, $800 and umpteen million doesn't go very far when you have every legislator in Lansing. You have 110 House members and 38 senators want to spend it in their districts on special projects. And to me, that's not really a good way to spend our taxpayer dollars. So yeah, if it was me, I'd rather find a way to pay down debt or put the money towards infrastructure or K-12 schools, and that should be our priority.
How many Act 51 dollars does each township generate? Is that same dollar amount spent in that township? And who keeps track of that money? Does it pay for road, grading, paving, ditching, and snow removal?
I can't tell you how many dollars that each township generates, but it wouldn't be the same. So in other words, it'd be based on population. Is that correct? So, but basically, no, for maintenance, we have so much budgeted for primary and so much for local maintenance. So we can show what we spend in each township, though. In other words, we have functions.
Besides money? Usually in Lansing, bad legislation is what affects my job more than anything. It seems like I'm spending 90% of my time fighting bad legislation, bad bills that don't make sense or cost us money that we don't need to spend it on. But we want to make sure, it's very important on this side of the state, we keep Act 51 in place. Because Southeast Michigan, the legislators there, House and Senate members, want to eliminate Act 51. And they would spend 90% of the money in Southeast Michigan, where we still have a lot of roads up here that need to work. Because of Act 51, we in West Michigan, our roads are pretty decent. We have issues in places, but all in all, they're much better than Southeast Michigan. So we gotta fight hard, the legislators, to make sure Act 51 stays in place. As you start going around that, there's some legislation now. One of the Monroe County legislators wants to completely get rid of Act 51. It's not going to go anywhere because he doesn't have enough votes, but it would be a disaster for our road commissions.
So I guess what would make my job difficult besides money is just kind of where we're at. we have a lot of roads that, you know, they're too far gone to repair. There's no repairing them, no patching them, no chip sealing them, that they just need to be ground up and repaved. So, you know, it's something that the road commission, as Senator described that plan, how we've gradually been getting more money each year. That's made a tremendous difference. But before that time, in other words, in 2016, I think in December, that was, you know, like 11 months or 9 months before I came there, they were $1 million in debt. They were only getting $3.9 million a year, and they just didn't have enough money to do even routine maintenance. So, you know, a lot of these roads languished over the years because the road commission just simply didn't have enough money to do the required maintenance or to repave roads. So I guess it still gets back to a money issue, but right now, even say if we had the money, there's so many roads that are in bad shape that need to be repaved. You know, it would take quite a bit of planning and actually contractors to do that work.
I'll add on to that a little bit too. And when I go to places and mention road funding, I think we need to leverage as many federal dollars as we can with state dollars. And also, I think a lot of I have a township in Nuevo County, Grant Township, for instance. They've had 3 mills of their own for almost 50 years. They don't have any gravel roads there, so it's going to take some local skin in the game as well. If you really want especially your local roads, it's going to take a little township money or village money as well. I think it's going to take a little bit of everybody's cut of the pie, so it needs to go around.
And this would be a question for Mr. Temer, I believe. What efficiencies is the Oceana County Road Commission doing to make use of our money go further?
Yeah, that's a good question, and some of the things we've done since I've been there is we put not just right side wings on truck, but left side wings for the highway. Like in plowing in the winter, we used to have the highway, the trucks leave out of Hart, we split it up, we've got 2 trucks in 20, 2 out of Hart, the Hart go north. The people in 20, they take care of past Shelby Road. So now it doesn't take, you know, hours for somebody that up north saw on the PowerPoint. That cost $18,000 at an auction. It only had maybe 2,800 hours on it. And a new one's about $350,000. The distributors are about $200,000 new. We bought one for 23, one for 30, and one for 5,000. So those are some of the things. When we started our own grind program, we bought Freightliner semi-cabs, and somebody looked at those and said, look, they bought a whole fleet of trucks. Well, any of you that are truck drivers, we bought 2 Freightliners that were 2012 in excellent condition for a total of $48,000. Those trucks are $120,000 new. And so things like that. Sometimes when we Durapatch, you see the machine that sprays tar and stone on the road. If we've got a bad area, we might take 2 machines and put it in that area, and then use 1 set of traffic regulars. So we save 2 people on that crew, 2 people can be doing something else. So those are some of the things that we do. And like I said, we'll buy new equipment or lease it, but if we can buy good used, we'll do that to save some money and stretch our dollars a little bit.
Thank you, Mark. We do have several extra cards in here, but again, I think John, would you also be interested in answering questions that we have? We post them online. Any leftovers? Okay. The next one up, with townships required to provide 75% of funding for local roads, will there be any changes made to fund some of these costs with Act 51 money?
You know what, a lot of that just depends on what our income is, and it's kind of a case-by-case basis, but we've done a lot of in-kind work with townships, so sometimes, you know, they'll pay the bill of the asphalt. Well, you get one bill, maybe it's $200,000, it sounds like a lot, but then if you look at the work we put into it, maybe we put in another 100 or 200,000 from the road commission. but it could be in the form of gravel. We bought a shoulder machine so we can trench roads and put gravel shoulders in. We also do ditching, tree work. We just recently, we're in the middle of doing a job, we're gonna wait till spring to pave it, but the road commission paid about $70,000 for earthwork. We took some of the hills out and cleaned up the site distance, both on the vertical curves like the hills, and also pulled the banks back so people can see out of commercial driveways. So, yeah, you know, if a lot of the work we do with partnering with townships, it can be a case-by-case basis, how much each township has. And basically, since I've been here, I've tried to commit to anyone that had a viable project, instead of saying no, what does this cost, or what does it take to get it done? And then we try to partner with a township and make sure that we can make that happen.
A lot of you might not realize as well, Michigan, I believe, of the lower 48 states, we have the most paved miles, I believe, of any state in the United States. So, I'm not saying we're going to be able to catch up, right? It's just going to take us a lot longer time. This is lower Michigan. Draw a line through the knuckles. Michigan is a swamp, this lower half of the state, and it was drained. That's why we have drain commissions. So a lot of our roads in southern Michigan, you know, that you see them where they go like this, you fix them one year, the next year, it's because of just the natural lay of the land we have. And it's just hard to keep those types of roads in good shape very long. You know, you hear it says compared to the UP, unless it goes through some swamp, the roads up there can last longer, or in Ohio, where they might not, you know, be going through the swampland. So that's another issue we have to deal with in Michigan is, you know, this lower Michigan is a big drained swamp, and our roads don't last as long.
Thank you, John. Do you guys have time for maybe 3 more questions? Would that be good? And then would either of you or both of you be able to stay after the presentation, chat with the crowd if they have specific questions? Extra 1,000? Okay, all right, we can get it. Is that tax code? I pay for it at the bump? Okay, this one might be good for both of you. John might actually have a different point on this one. Why does Newaygo County roads seem so much better than Oceana's?
Because Mark hasn't been here for 25 years like Kelly Smith. That's a lot of his management styles and getting a road plan in place. And that the short time he's been here, he's made a big difference. And that's what it's really about, management style, how the dollars are spent, and the plan. And in Newaygo County, Kelly Smith has been there for many, many years. He's done an excellent job. Sorry we're going to lose him this year. He's going to retire. And it's just a big, it's like anywhere else. Some counties are better at road maintenance than others, or